Have you ever had a big spider enter your room and disappear behind the bookcase? You cannot find it, and now you must sleep in that room. This puts you in a stress response mode known as fight or flight. If spiders don't bother you, then imagine it were a snake. This stress response you feel is the antithesis of horny. Fight or flight mode is incompatible with reproduction. So when you feel this stress, it is very hard to become aroused sexually. This has often been attributed as to why wild animals rarely masturbate, whereas domestic or captive animals often do. Perhaps it is a sort of fear that keeps those sexual feelings low. This fear that something will get you if you're not alert keeps you in check. It is of course a burden on the system to live in constant stress and fear. However, applying this fear to activities that are risky or detrimental to us will inevitably protect us from harm and keep us safe. Most of us don't jump off bridges or swim with sharks because we know of the potential risks. Yet emptying our body of the very precious material that created us has become seen as safe or free from consequence, and thus most people don't attach any fear or hesitancy to its loss. In a strange way, it reminds me of the phrase often used in Christianity, God-fearing folk. It is used to imply one's reverence and respect to God and His almighty power, and to keep one in obedience with God and His laws as to not suffer punishment. In this sense, fear is a very productive emotion that can be used to keep us in check. I would even say that a healthy dose of fear is the best way to keep those lustful feelings at bay. If you are having trouble relapsing, perhaps it is because you don't fear enough the consequences of chronic semen depletion. Do not misunderstand. We should not live in fear, not at all. But when the feelings of relapse become strong, fear of the consequences of relapse can subdue our desirous nature. Fear of what you will lose if you release your seed. Many times, retainers get to the edge of relapse. They start to negotiate in their mind. It's just once. One release is not so bad. Semen is just protein and water, so who cares, etc. These thoughts that play down the importance of semen retention is what is causing many people to relapse. It is a healthy dose of fear that has kept me going for 3 years without relapse. I don't want to mess up my health or my life, and I have seen on many occasions how releasing does exactly that. I remember the days I was releasing as a sort of hell, and sexual desire has become like a knock at the door, inviting me back to those dark times. I reject the invitation. I am happy where I am now and have no intention of going down that path of lust again. I have made the thought of relapse scary in my mind. I believe it destroys physicality, health, social relations, happiness, and attracts a destiny of misfortune and suffering. It makes you less valuable and seen as a repulsive entity to others. Those types of people that tend to repulse others generally share some similar qualities: a deterioration of their physical attributes, unkempt or unhygienic appearance, a lack of morality or proper behavior, a certain look in the eyes. This message has been passed down throughout the ages. Please listen to these words written over 150 years before on masturbation. While sexual sin is the most destructive of all human vices, this personal form is by far its worst form, because it is the greatest outrage on nature's sexual ordinances, which man can possibly perpetrate. It is man's sin of sins and vice of vices, and has caused incomparably more sexual dilapidation, paralysis, and disease, as well as demoralization, than all other sexual vices combined. Neither Christendom nor heathendom suffers any evil at all to compare with this, because of its universality and terribly fatal ravages on body and mind, and because it attacks the joint idol of our hearts and the hopes of our future years. 40 years of personal observation, with the best of facilities, warrant the solemn declaration that few escape its ravages. When you release, you are taking the valuable materials used to build your body, in particular your brain, and throwing those substances into the ether, to fade away. The times I was releasing, I had many horrible experiences. I looked unwell, troubles in romance, troubles with social relations, troubles with health, in particular stomach and teeth. I had to get double root canals as my teeth developed extensive decay. And on a separate occasion, one of my wisdom teeth crumbled as I chewed on some hard food. I felt disliked by others and had a whole host of other negative experiences around that time. At the peak of my own habit, I thought I had some mystery illness. I went to the hospital and had blood checks and was told I was fine. I don't think I was doing this habit much more than most guys are doing, perhaps at most once a day. But I would say your body constitution plays a large role as to how well you can handle the drain, and seemingly my body could not handle it so well. I mention all of these bad experiences to explain what keeps me from relapsing. It is fear. I fear going back to this state of living where health and happiness were at an all-time low, where people seemed more antagonistic towards me, where strange, unexplained health issues kept popping up, where my appearance was unhealthy to look at. And as the streak builds up day by day, I get further and further away from those dark times, and returning to them is the last thing that I would want. There is no special power here other than a desire for a good life over a bad one. I have first-hand experience to say that a life lived in lustful thought is no way satisfactory or fulfilling. In fact, the more releases that occur, the more meaningless everything seems to become. The more apathetic to life you become. It is a terrible state to be in. I hope I am painting the picture well here for you. Please think back to the point in your life when you were releasing your sexual energy the most. Maybe it is now. Were you experiencing much hardship at that time? I suspect you were, because if you weren't, I don't think you would have become aware of semen retention to begin with. Try and really remember those hard times you went through, how bleak everything seemed, how bad things were going. If your experiences were anything like mine, I imagine you'd feel as if you were on a trajectory towards hell. It is those of you that have suffered the worst that will have the best fuel to take semen retention the furthest. Now, the next time you feel the urges of lust getting too strong, think back to these dark times and ask yourself if it's worth going back there. If you're retaining, you've already come a long way. Why give all that up for a few seconds of pleasure that will ultimately end in suffering and regret?